Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another of my Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD battles. This is for my 1,000 subscriber special, and I am well on my way to 1,100 subs. Very thankful. I really appreciate all your guys' support on the channel. And today we are going to look at HOENN Master versus LABADAL, so let's go ahead and get to their battles. Alright guys, welcome to the first battle between LABADAL and HOENN Master. We're going to take a look at LABADAL's force first because HOENN Master's army is still getting into position. LABADAL is playing as the Principality of Antioch, and he's got a nice mix of units. Starting with his Starting with his archers, he's bringing 2 units of Maronite archers, which is a very light archery presence on the battlefield. So he is going to have to be pretty aggressive in this battle if he has any hopes of winning. And he's also bringing a unit of dismounted Frate Milite Hospitalis. Again, we saw them in a previous tournament video. Very nice looking infantry. Then he has a unit of Nestorian infantry and a unit of Syriac auxiliaries. And I really like these auxiliary spears here. I really like this guy right here with the mesh completely covering his face except for his eyes. Really cool there. And then looking at his swords from the very left-hand side here, he's got a unit of Georgian swordsmen. And then he has, I believe, 3 units of the Syriac swordsmen, which is tier 2. And then way over here on the flank, he has 2 units of the Antiochian foot knights. Again, tier 2, but looking a little bit more heavily armored. They've got the plate armor on some of them. And then for his cavalry force, he's brought 4 units of the Antiochian knights. And then he's brought the Prince of Antioch as his general over here. So we've seen him before, but I'll just get a little zoom in on him now. And for those of you guys that may have picked up on it, this is a rule break. The maximum was 4 cavalry, including general. But during this battle, I think LABADAL recognized that he had broken the rules, so he dismounted one of his knights and charged it into melee instead of using it as cavalry. So that's why this battle will count, because he did notice it before it even started, and he actually took a big disadvantage, basically. Instead of having that money to spend on some more elite infantry, he has to dismount his cavalry, which is only an 80-man unit, and then charge it into melee as a regular melee infantry unit. So he's losing like 80 men. You can see these ones are 160 men. So good call there on LABADAL's part, recognizing the rules and then doing that. And it looks like HOENN is just about in position over here, but he is playing as the Teutonic Order, and I love the Teutonic Order. I really wish they were a little bit better balanced, because they're just kind of useless to play in any kind of multiplayer battle at all. But let's go ahead and take a look at his force. So over on this flank, he has 2 units of men-at-arms, heavy polearm infantry, and he does have some cavalry over here. He's got the Ritterbruder, which look very awesome. I think the commander, too. No, he doesn't. Okay, it must be the early period Ritterbruder that have the classic Teutonic horned helmet that they wear. But then he's also got some spear militia over on this flank, so again, really looking to win the cavalry engagement. And then he has 4 units of Prussian archers, so this means that HOENN Master will be able to kind of just sit back and relax and force LABADAL to come to him, because these Prussian archers, since he has 4 of them, 2 each can focus down the 1 unit of Maronite archers, and then break them, and then LABADAL has no choice but to charge in unless he just plans on getting kind of peppered down. But for HOENN's main melee line, he's bringing 5 units of the Schwattbruder, which is a tier 1 unit, but it's much better than their alternative, which is their 2-handed unit with like 0 missile blocks. So it's a good call he's bringing the Schwattbruder. And I think these 2 are spear militia as well, so he has 3 total. And then he has another unit of men-at-arms, so 3 units of men-at-arms total, with another unit of Ritterbruder. And then we have the Grandmaster's Guard of the late period, and we'll just get a little zoom in on him. There he is. Really love the Teutonic crest on his shield. But that is everything, so I think they're almost in position, so let's go ahead and pop this onto play. They did actually start over towards the middle of the map, but there was a little bit of a hill closer to HOENN's side, so they both decided to move out into this open field here. So they're not using the line for for corner camping at all. It was just to make the battlefield a little bit more fair. But 8 minutes and 30 seconds for this battle, so we'll see how it begins. Taking a look at the man count, HOENN has 2,500 men, or 2,600 actually, to LABADAL's 2,050. Now, that's mainly because he brought an extra cavalry unit, so he's losing 80 men. But I think also the Syriac swords here and the Antiochian foot knights are pretty elite and pretty expensive. Plus the Antiochian knights over here of the high period, the cavalry, probably expensive as well. But it looks like everyone is in position. So let's see who moves first. I would imagine HOENN is pretty comfortable in this position here, but it looks like he's starting the advance, moving over onto the flanks as well. You can see he's got his spears and his men-at-arms on the flanks, so that tells me that he's going to be using his Schwadbrüder just to hold, probably, and shield wall, and then he's really invested on winning on the flanks. Meanwhile, LABADAL over here, he's just kind of readjusting his army a little bit. So I'm not sure if he has a plan as to why he's doing that. It may be because he wants to be able to win on this left flank and maybe just draw away from that right flank, because it does look like it's a little heavier than the left one. But, oh, here we go. We've actually got a charge right away from some of the cavalry units into the Ritterbrüder of the High Period. Now, they're both Tier 2 cavalry, so it'll be interesting to see who would actually pull through in that engagement. But we've actually, it looks like we've got the general's bodyguard coming over here as well. I'm not sure if he's coming over here just to, you know, rally his men, or if he actually plans to force in. But it looks like actually he might be going for these foot knights here, who are in wedge formation, getting a huge hit from the side there. So well done there by LABADAL, and then looks like he's just going to peel off and then go in against the men-at-arms over on this side. But looks like they were almost able to form up, but not really. And the Prussian archers going for the general right away. The Prince of Antioch quickly trying to get into the archers. But it looks like he's already going to be... Oh, he's dead. He's dead already. Oh, that is not good that early in the battle. However, the general did do quite a bit of damage, I think. 113 kills for the Prince of Antioch already. And we've got the dismounted Frate Milite Hospitalis over here fighting the depleted unit of men-at-arms. This unit of men-at-arms as well lost about 60 men. But we've got, looks like one lone unit of Syriac swordsmen trying to push in against the Prussian archers. It doesn't look like HOENN is going to pull his archers back in time. A couple of them will be caught in melee. However, his Schwadbrüder were in a very thick formation and in shield wall, I believe. Yes, they are. So that should be a match for the Syriac swordsmen. We've already got the spear militia breaking, but that is not a surprise there. And yeah, we've got 2 units of cavalry over here, and we've got some Antiochian knights over kind of in and around the flanks. But big charge onto the Ritterbrüder. What's breaking over here? Some of the Georgian swordsmen actually are breaking. But it looks like LABADAL is pretty effective over on this flank. And yes, here we go. So as you can see, I was a little worried when I saw him about to charge into the backs of the Ritterbrüder over here, but he disengaged before this unit was able to get too many kills, and then he's dismounted them and then charged them in. So that is just fine. I will allow that because he's recognized his error. But yeah, for those of you guys that do still have some matches to play, do be careful to obey all the rules, because if you do break a rule, and even if you win the battle, I will void that win, and you will have to replay the battle. So that would really suck. Our men are breaking up. But well done on HOENN. He's got his Schwadbrüder into shield wall as they're moving forwards against the Maronite archers. But LABADAL, he's formed up this little L formation here. He's really hoping that he is going to win the cavalry engagement, which it most likely he will. Both the units of Ritterbrüder are breaking. His men-at-arms over here are wavering as well. But he also has these 2 units of cavalry here that could get around the flank and cause some damage. And HOENN, he's still pretty healthy. Like, I don't know what the man count is. 2,000 for the Teutonic Order, 1,600 for the Principality of Antioch. But we've got some more archers here that are getting caught in melee by the Nestorian infantry. Nestorian infantry and the Syriac swordsmen, but we've quickly got a unit of Schwadbrüder that have charged in and are saving those 2 units of Prussian archers from death. Over here as well, these Schwadbrüder who are in wedge formation, looks like they got cut down a decent amount. And oh no, HOENN actually charging his general and his Ritterbrüder around the flank here, but then allowing them to be charged by the Antiochene foot knights. But nice charge there into the Maronite archers. They should surely break, I would imagine. And this is a pretty close battle. I'm kind of surprised that it's still so out of HOENN's favor. Just given the caliber of troops left on the field, I would say it's almost dead even. And a lot of units are wavering over here for LABADAL. Even in the center as well, it's basically from the loss of his general. But HOENN, these say that they're running, but they are walking. He needs to get them into melee as quickly as possible before his general dies. There we go, he is doing that. Looks like the Ritterbrüder of the High Period kind of broke free without too many casualties. Meanwhile, LABADAL is charging his dismounted Frate Milite Hospitalis. Again, so looks like he might catch the Prussian archers over here and the unit of Schwadbrüder that is trying to move out, probably against these Syriac auxiliaries that have already broken. But yeah, if HOENN's general goes, this could be a very, very close game. And good call on LABADAL. He's not blobbing up too many of his forces over here. He really needs to keep this cavalry mobile to get rid of some key units like these Prussian archers and this Schwadbrüder over here that's not in any kind of formation. So that's probably going to be a decent charge.
Our men flee the field of battle. This is a shameful display.
But yeah, HOENN's general breaking as well. That is not a good sign. So LABADAL may still have this. It's the man, or sorry, the balance of power is definitely in his favor. He has a lot of his Antiochene Antiochene knights over here still alive. But HOENN, yeah, his infantry is quite depleted at this point, so it looks like it may be a win for LABADAL. Prussian archers smartly trying to focus the Antiochene knights as they go in against this unit of archers. Yeah, you could see a couple of them being picked off, but enough of the unit did make it in to shatter that unit of Prussian archers. And it looks like we've got this unit of Antiochene foot knights pushing around the men-at-arms. 28 seconds left in the battle. And it looks like this will be a victory for LABADAL, so well done. LABADAL is, I believe, a fairly new player to 12-12, and HOENN is definitely seasoned. We've seen him in quite a bit of my replays. So having a win against HOENN is no easy feat. Well done there. So taking a look at the kills for his general's bodyguard, really low. Spear militia, low. This unit, 106, so that's not too bad. But, yeah, just not really high kills all around for HOENN's army. Meanwhile, I think this is the one, or either this one or this one was the one that he charged into melee, so you could see that they have lower kills. But the ones that he had mounted definitely did well for him. This unit got 257 kills. Well done. And his general, 126. The 2 units of Antiochene foot knights, 185, 161. Even some of the Syriac swordsmen doing very well. So that's it for the first battle, so let's go ahead and take a look at the second one. So we come to the second battle between LABADAL and HOENN. LABADAL is up 1, so if HOENN does lose this one, he is knocked out of the tournament. So a lot is riding on this for HOENN, albeit for LABADAL, he's probably feeling a little bit more comfortable, which is good. And we're looking at LABADAL's forces first, again, just because HOENN's army is still setting up. But LABADAL is playing as the 2nd Bulgarian Tsardom. And we've seen them before quite a bit in this round 1 tournament, which is surprising, but not surprising at the same time because they are a pretty solid faction. It's just you don't see them a lot during regular gameplay because they're listed kind of as an incomplete or unfinished faction. They still need a little bit of balancing. But yeah, again, LABADAL going for a really, really light archer presence. He's only got 1 unit this time, and it's a Vlok-heavy archer unit. Then he's going for 2 units of Bulgarian spearmen in the center. And then his main line is a mix. He's got 2 units of the Moldavian warriors, and then 3 units of the Bulgarian swordsmen. And then right at the end, he's got 3 units of heavy infantry. And I think this is the best infantry that Bulgaria can bring. For his cavalry, over on this flank, he's got 2 units of mercenary German knights, and then he has another one on the other side. So we'll zip over there and take a look at them. So that's that there. And then he's also bringing his general's bodyguard, which is, again, the Boyar unit. We've seen it before. And then he's actually bringing a couple of pole arms. He's got a unit of Bulgarian hook spearmen and a unit of Bulgarian guard, late period. So here's the hook spearmen. I think we've seen the hook spearmen once before, but really cool-looking infantry. And that is about it for his force, so let's take a look at HOENN Masters. He is playing as the Principality of Antioch now, and he's got some of his Fratere Militae Templi over here. Or wait, is that? Yeah, Fratere Militae Templi. He's got 2 units over on this flank with 2 units of Nestorian infantry. And then we've got a unit of dismounted Fratere Militae Templi over on this flank as well. And then looking at the center, he has 4 units of the Foot Turcopole. So HOENN Master going for a pretty elite archer force. They are only tier 1, but they still have a really decent amount of damage. You can see 74 missile damage with their range of 150, which is pretty standard. But his main line in behind, he has, I believe, let me just double check here. 2, 3, 4. Looks like he has 5 units of the Syriac swordsmen of the High Period. And then here's his other unit of Fratere Militae Templi dismounted, so that is 2. And then over on this side, he has another 2 of the dismounted polearm units with his Fratere Militae Templi. That's his 3rd unit of Cav. And his general's bodyguard over here, who would be, there he is, the Prince of Antioch once again, as we have seen. So all cavalry rules have been respected this time, which is excellent, so it should be a pretty decent battle. 8 minutes left on the timer, and we can go ahead and click play, and I would imagine HOENN will be the first to move up again, just to get into range with his archers. While looking at the man count, 2,530 for HOENN and 2,520 for LABADAL, so very, very close in the man count. However, if you can see the balance of power, just slightly in favor of HOENN's Antioch forces. So let's see who moves forwards first. There we go. So HOENN has started his great march across the battlefield. And it looks like LABADAL may be going for the same strategy. I think he will be a little bit more careful with his general this time, though. We've got a quick movement from the Fratere Militae Templi over here. I'm not sure if they're going to try and claim the ridgeline of this forest or not. But we've got a pretty big push from some of the Bulgarian spearmen and the Bulgarian guard over on this flank. So let's see what happens here. We've got all of the units of Syriac swordsmen for HOENN Master in shield wall. Or no, correction. It looked like they were in a thicker shield wall column, but it looks like they're just moving forwards ahead of the archers. But I'm not sure. I guess the archers aren't going to be going into range or not. And, oh, here we go. Looks like the Bulgarian cavalry scaring away the Antioch cavalry behind the lines of their spearmen. So I think a couple of them were lost there, just 2 men. But LABADAL again on this left flank being very aggressive with his cavalry. He's actually brought all 4 units of his cavalry over to this side. So very, very interesting there. I'm not sure if HOENN recognizes that his cavalry is running so far away. There we go. So it looks like he has moved his cavalry back. But by doing this, LABADAL having all his cavalry units over here, it forces HOENN to actually engage. And really clever move here by LABADAL as well, sending his Bulgarian spearmen to challenge the Nestorian infantry. Basically, this prohibits the Nestorian infantry from aiding the Militae Templi against the 4 units of cavalry. However, it looks like HOENN does recognize this, and he is moving most of his archers over onto the side, but he needs to be aggressive with this other flank here. He can't allow 2 units of cavalry and 2 units of the polearms to just sit there and wait. But we've already got the Boyar unit, the General's Bodyguard, flanking around the Militae Templi, but the mercenary German Knights are very solid. We've also got a unit of men-at-arms pushing into the flank of the mercenary German Knights. And I'm not sure, but I think wedge formation, yeah, just gives them basically better melee attack and charge speed. But LABADAL actually retreating with his Moldavian warriors. I'm not sure if he was going to engage with the Syriac swordsman here, but that would have been something that the Syriac swordsman could have easily won. But all of LABADAL's forces are over here now, and well done by LABADAL getting a nice charge into the Nestorian infantry. The General's Bodyguard charging into the polearms over here. I think, though, that these polearms were set up, and as you can see, the General's Bodyguard has taken quite a bit of damage, albeit he's given the dismounted Militae Templi a run for their money as well, killing about 80 men in that charge. However, they have turned to square formation, so that is going to protect them on all sides. We've also got this unit in square, so I guess he wants to prohibit some rear charges on this flank as well, which makes sense. But it looks like even though HOENN Master has lost his 2 units of spears, it still is in favor of HOENN. He just needs to get his main line over here, like set up your main line across these units of heavy infantry and break them, and flank with his general and his other unit of Templi to get these Bulgarian swordsmen. But looks like the enemy general is dead once again. I'm not sure where actually he... Oh, he's over on this flank here. So he might have been focused by the foot Turco poles. But actually a pretty clever strategy having his polearms in square formation like this. So I think he is going to be able to withstand quite a bit of pressure from all sides. And this unit of Bulgarian hook spearmen with 160 men, and they were wavering. That is insane. But there we go. Looks like we got the Boyars trying to push through the square formation. Looks like they were a little bit successful over there. But yeah, HOENN Master really slow to get his infantry into melee like this. So it's quite an interesting strategy from LABADAL, I do have to say, by like almost feigning that he's going to attack in a long line, but then just ends up pulling all of his forces over to this section of the battlefield. However, I do have to give it up for the Fratere Militae Templi. Even from taking a bunch of rear charges, this one is actually completely surrounded by both cavalry and infantry, and they are still holding. And I think that's what is going to save HOENN in this battle today, is just the sheer solidness of the Militae Templi. So well done there. It looks like we finally got the Syriac swordsmen engaging against the heavy infantry. The foot Turco poles are in range, so they should be able to fire on some of the units that have their flanks exposed, like this hook spearman. It looks like this hook spearman has really low morale, and look at that. The unit of 120 has just broken. Shattered, actually. It will not be returning. So well done there. Now this unit that is charging in against the polearms also has its back to the foot Turco poles, so we'll see how that goes. But here we go. We've got a unit of Fratere Militae Templi freed up, and I think he's going to be charging into the Bulgarians, or what is he going to do? I'm not sure if he's decided exactly what he wants to do with them yet. I would have tried to actually sneak them right through the gap here and go through the archers. Or go for the archers. Then he has kind of an open shot to just crack this entire front line of heavy infantry. And if he gets a wide enough charge, he could actually rout 2 units at one time. But yeah, balance of power heavily in HOENN's favor at this point, so I think it will be a victory for him. So Principality of Antioch must be pretty solid. I think it's one of the better choices for these round 1 battles. Good charge into the archers. So it looks like actually he did exactly what I was talking about. Oh, and well done here. This is good micromanagement and battlefield awareness here. He's put his unit into such a thin formation that he's actually able to push it right through and to get onto the flanks of the heavy infantry. Although this one is already breaking, only taking 20 losses, but they were wavering just due to the fact that their general has died. But there we go, finally the Milite Templi has broken, but now there's going to be a huge charge into this infantry from the heavy shock cav of the Principality of Antioch. And look at this, it actually wavered these 2 units, actually the 3 units here. It looks like the cav did steady though enough to get into the foot Turcopoles. But I would be going for this main line just to end it. Just charge into the back of the main line here. It's going to be such a brutal charge, but actually I know that this is a tournament, but I do want to get some nice charges for you guys as well. Well done there. You can see over on this flank as well, we've got some of the heavy cavalry of the Principality of Antioch just shattering what's left of the Bulgarian troops. So that is it for the second replay, so let's take a look at the results there. So it's 1-1 now. 1-4-5 with this polearm unit, but the Syrian swordsman just being that really solid line to hold in the center, and the foot Turcopoles racking up kills as well. This unit of cavalry, 355 kills, that's insane. Meanwhile, looking at LABADAL's side, a lot of the infantry just very, very low kills all around, especially since losing the general so early on. If he hadn't have lost his general, his main line probably would have held for much longer. But this unit of cav getting 177 kills, which is pretty solid indeed. So that's it for the second one, so let's go ahead and take a look at the third one. Alright, so now brings us to the third battle between HOENN Master and LABADAL, and this time we're going to look at HOENN Master's army first. He is playing as the Ayyubids Sultanate, and he's got a pretty solid force here, I do have to say. Again, going with those 4 units of Adath archers, so bringing a good archery presence, or archer presence to the battlefield. And then right in behind, he has 4 units of Bakla swordsmen. And then he has 3 units of Mameluke Tabateria. These guys are considered heavy axe infantry, so they're not polearms. And his general is actually one of them over here, which is this gentleman right here. And I do have to say, I love the models on the Eastern faction generals, just looking really, really cool. So he does have his general on foot, so that means he can bring 4 units of these Tawashi cavalry. So 2 on either flank, and then he has 4 units of the Adath spearmen, 2 on each flank either. Or 2 on each flank as well, not either. And we've got LABADAL moving forwards ever so slowly, but he is playing as the Duchy of Lesser Poland. So he's got 2 units of the Archer Sergeants in the front lines here. And then he has 4 units of the Sergeants of the High Period, and 2 Sergeants of the Late Period. And then I believe he has 2 units of Spear Militia here. Yes, he does. And then all of his cav, again, coming to this left flank over here. So he's got 3 units of Polish Knights of the late period, and then he has the Polish King as well. So let's get a nice zoom in of all of this Polish cavalry moving forwards. Very, very cool. So the Kingdom of Poland, or the Duchy of Lesser Poland, I should say, very, very successful faction in these round 1 battles. I think that anyone who has played as Poland has won with them. And the only other time we've seen the Ayyubid Sultanate was a loss, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and put this to play. It's only a 6-minute battle, so this must be very quick. Again, with HOENN Master having a significant man advantage, but it's still dead even for the balance of power. So 2,400 Ayyubids versus 2,010 Polish. So let's see what's going on. It looks like Hohenmaster has figured out LABADAL's strategy. He is pushing all of his cavalry, plus a unit of Mameluke Tabarderia and his Ada Spearmen over to this flank. So I don't think he's going to be allowing LABADAL to focus and win on this flank anymore. But we've got the Adath archers now firing down onto the Polish archer sergeants. And the Polish archer sergeants, they're not going to really be able to do too much, so we'll see how well they do. But they're just outnumbered. They're outnumbered 2-1, so we've got 2 of these Adath archers that will be able to focus this 1 archer sergeant, and we've got 2 units of archers over here that can focus this one. And once they're gone, then that's basically it. LABADAL will have to move into melee at that point. But it looks like we've got 1 unit of the Polish Knights moving over onto the right flank. And we've got the Sergeants of the High Period, a long line of Sergeants of the High Period. I think they're just going to bite the bullet and push forwards, which is probably a good strategy, like I said, just due to the fact that the Adath archers just outrange him. They're just going to get slaughtered otherwise. But, oh, what's going on here? It looks like we've got a kind of a zigzag charge over here with the Spear Militia. Actually, this unit will be able to flank around the Ada Spearmen, which is a little bit of a problem. And looks like the cavalry, the Polish Knights, pull out LABADAL. Yeah, you have to be really careful there because these Polish Knights, some of them were caught up against the Spearmen, and it will slow down the charge of those Knights against the Tawashi cavalry. However, the Polish definitely have the more elite cavalry, so that's going to be a little bit of a difficulty. However, HOENN, he can't pull any more of these units of cavalry over because he's got the presence of the Polish king and the Polish knights here. In my opinion, he might be able to get away with pulling back this 1 unit of Tawashi cavalry to help out. But we've got the main line pretty much engaged. We've got the Mameluke Tabarderia being kind of surrounded by these late period sergeants, which is a little bit of a problem. It was a very kind of thin, long formation that he had them in, and now they are fighting kind of on 2 sides. Now, I don't know if that's causing a morale penalty. It doesn't look like it. Their morale is still 57, but this Tawashi cavalry is going to need help here. Tawashi. Just want to make sure that sounds right, because Tawashi cavalry kind of sounds like some kind of samurai cavalry. We've got more of the Mameluke Tabarderia over on this flank. And these Polish sergeants are going to be pretty formidable, especially against the very cheap Takala swordsmen. They're not super cheap, but they're only tier 1, and they're going up against tier 2 sergeants. And we've actually got 2 of them in this section over here. But keeping zoomed out to kind of take a look at what's going on. The general is kind of just sitting over here. Hopefully the Tawashi cavalry doesn't break too quickly. But the archer sergeant's actually focusing down this 1 unit of Adath archers. And I'm not sure if HOENN recognizes this. Yes, he does. Excellent. So it looks like he is going to charge this 1 unit of Tawashi cavalry into melee. And he actually caught both of them, which is excellent. And I think he's going to leave that 1 unit to fend for itself so that he can bring this unit of Tawashi cavalry around and get some good charges into the backs of the sergeants, which is a very clever move there. And we've also got the General's Bodyguard over here. I'm not sure if it's going to engage this unit of Tawashi cavalry, but HOENN sure is going to try to catch him in melee. Not a chance, though. It looks like they're going to be too slow, but I think the archers are going to be finding their mark on the Polish king here. Yeah, a couple of them falling to archer. Oh my goodness! The whole unit just being slaughtered. They're down to half strength, I would say, right now, which is insane. And now the Tawashi cavalry charging into melee and locking down that general. But the general is wavering at this point, which is a really bad thing. Also, we've got the sergeants of the late period breaking. There goes the general's bodyguard, and check this out. I think some really choice rear charges here by that Tawashi cavalry unit broke the sergeants, and it is just utter pandemonium in the Polish lines at this point. We've actually got this cavalry here that's trying to charge into melee, but again, these Adath archers just finding their mark time and time again. And just look at that. It was just utter destruction. As soon as they lost their general, it was a mass rout. And a very clear victory for HOENN. So, looks like LABADAL is knocked out of this tournament, but well done, men. Well played. Like I said, HOENN is a pretty seasoned veteran in 12-12, and you played pretty well. We'll just finish out the battle here with the heavy Eastern cavalry fighting the heavy Polish cavalry. Well done on these Polish knights not breaking so quickly like the rest of the army. I see the Polish banner still standing over here. Banner carrier holding the Polish flag high. But it looks like they will not break. That is very honorable. And check this out too. They've only lost one man in that entire engagement. It looks like he is trying to pull them out of melee though, but unfortunately that will 100% break that unit, especially if it's already wavering. Well, let's take a look at the results here. So the Adath Archer is getting a decent amount of kills. This unit of Tawashi Cavalry, I believe, was the one who got all those good rear charges off. Apologies for missing that, but I kind of expected that was going to happen. The spears didn't really see much action, but the Thakla swordsmen holding out very well in that front line. And the Mamelut Tabaderia, this one getting 109 kills. Looking at that Polish general there, the king, being slain by a shower of arrows with 0 kills. That is very sad indeed. The sergeants of the high period didn't do too bad. The late period sergeants didn't get high enough kills for it to be really worth it, though. And the cavalry and archer sergeants, low kills as well, unfortunately. But that's it for this series of battles. So we've only got 2 more round 1 battles to go. I believe I should get to those hopefully on Wednesday. I'll just do like a double one and just get both of them out to you guys. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And I will see you in the next one.